Hi, my name is Murray Island, and I'm giving my short elevator speech of what I would like to research for this class. It's the issue of laws and norms of strategic bombing in the period from World War I through the interwar period to World War II. First, I'll discuss a little bit about the terminology because terminology is important here. There are two distinct approaches that have evolved over time. And these concepts have their origin in the first aerial bombing during World War I. There is strategic bombing, which is a large-scale attack, which is designed to weaken the overall war capacity of the enemy. This includes infrastructure and, importantly, morale. During World War II, this involved high-altitude aircraft that would be away from defenders, and they would target key industrial population centers as well as sites of cultural importance. Tactical bombing is totally different. This involves immediate military objectives like supporting ground forces, which would be aimed at enemy troops and supply lines or enemy defensive positions. Aircraft during World War II would operate at lower altitudes for accurate strikes. This is still very much a big issue today because it clashes with human rights law and new concepts about how to wage war effectively. The origins of strategic bombing start very early, right after World War I, particularly WWI's book of 1921, which was translated into English and was used by American war planners shortly before World War II. Many of the European powers were on the same page about strategic bombing. This includes America, Britain, and Germany. Although the concept of strategic bombing was initiated right after the First World War, the major impact was during the Second World War when the technology allowed for monstrous destruction to be unleashed on civilian targets, perhaps in ways that would be totally incomprehensible to somebody who was familiar with technology in World War I. International law was trying to keep pace with technology, and we have the Hague Convention. Particularly in 1907, they were trying to limit bombardment to military objectives. And the 1923 Hague draft rules, which are not legally binding, attempted to regulate aerial warfare. The important thing about the Hague Convention is it set the stage for a lot of later norms and laws. The Geneva Conventions of 1949 were made in the wake of World War II and were intimately concerned with the treatment of civilians, which were regarded as non-targetable, as well as prisoners of war. My research aims to fill a gap in the literature. There are many studies directed towards war and technology, in other words, how the fighting of war changes with improving technology. This study is more concerned with war and society, specifically how public perceptions changed laws and policies. I'll critically examine US debates, like congressional records, and international law to see how it changes over time. I'll also examine literature of the era to see how specifically the American public's perceptions changed during World War I and World War II. And I'll research how the views of historians of successive eras have approached these issues. Finally, I'd like to look at some international agreements that were clearly influenced by the World War II experience, such as the World Heritage Convention. Many thanks for your time.